Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Yes, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I'm Michael Zinn, and this is my favorite place to be. It's the live stream of consciousness. What is that, you might be asking? Well, the live stream of consciousness is now. It's this very moment. You're here. I'm here. It's a great discussion that's about to take place, but it's also a platform for me to be able to have conversations about the things that tickle my brain. I talk about energy, I talk about spirituality, I talk about consciousness, and I just love the conversations that ensue when I invite a guest on who has their own perspective and their own connection with source energy, because that's, for me, that's what I see. I see everybody is how does Hat Powser put it? What's up, Hat Powser? I see you out there, and Grace Scrella and Ninja Kitty and everybody. Welcome. I see Arnie out there as well. What's happening? Yeah, everybody is an aspect of the great being, the great source, whatever you call it. That's what I like to discuss. That's what we discuss here on the live stream of consciousness. And tonight I have an awesome guest who actually touches on a bunch of those things, energy in a bunch of different ways, in the Akashic energy, the quantum energy, all the channeling energy, all of the energies that we love. So welcome everybody to the live stream of consciousness. I see Tim just showed up. What's up, Tim? And I'm happy to be here. It's been a crazy week. Last week I had Kelly Brickle on my show and introduced you guys to this Sacred Spiral Network, which I'm excited to be talking to Kelly about, doing a show on that network and spreading the live stream of consciousness and spreading the Sacred Spiral Network and just spreading the positive energy as we love to do. Anyway, so I see that it's 9:03. That means I've been babbling. And it's time to welcome my guest. This week's guest I met through Collab, which I think I've mentioned before, is a StreamYard thing. So StreamYard is the platform that you're watching right now, right? I do my show in a StreamYard backend. Have a virtual studio that I do this out of, and it has never been easier to do something like this. This is what I'm kind of pushing to people. I think that everybody's got a voice. Not everybody, I never thought I'd be in front of camera. Not everybody wants to be in front of a camera talking to people like this. But man, when I tell you how much I changed since I started doing this, and how much I found out about myself, and how much you guys found out about me and myself as this show grew. Originally I was co-hosting with Jesse Blaze, and it just kind of sparked something in me to have these conversations and connections with everybody. So thank you guys for always being here, and thank you to my amazing guests. I'm about to bring on Christina Franz and talk to her about all the amazing ways that she touches energy. So welcome to the live stream of consciousness, Christina Franz. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I am doing great. I'm glad to be here. This is exciting. I love to hear what the reason why you do this show. It's beautiful and amazing, and you do learn a lot. It expands you in ways you can't even imagine.
Totally. And we've talked about that here on the show. I've had conversations where I actually literally felt my brain expanding and my heart expanding. And I just love connecting to everyone. And I think I didn't know what I was going to say, but I knew that I wanted to express that today, that, what I love is connecting with people like you who have your own very unique connection with source, with energy. You have a connection with all sorts of energies, which is great. And I just love to exchange these conversations, because I feel like we all expand as we do that, as we share our own perspectives. We all kind of expand, and I love that my audience is always out there receiving whatever it is I seem to be delivering. They're always out there receiving it. So I'm excited you're here. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you're happy to be here. I want to talk about you. I like to hold space for my guests and talk about everything that they do and all the ways you touch energy and express energy. But I do got to ask you a couple of prerequisite questions before we get started. And the first one is, if you've ever seen the show, you know what's coming. But if you haven't, it's going to feel like a doozy, but it's really not. So just go with it. And that question
Bring
is,
it on.
what is consciousness? What are we even talking about?
Consciousness, it is an energy. It is an energy that we're all tapped into, that we all come from, that created pretty much everything, and that we all are a part of. And
Mhm.
it's kind of fascinating to learn about. I'm still trying to come into the remembrance of everything to do with this, but it's pretty amazing,
Sure.
because once you start tapping into this, you realize, like, you can find out anything about anybody. You don't even have to be that person, but you can figure out what they've done in their past life, what's going on in their life now, what's going on in the future. And
Mhm.
it's kind of fascinating that we can have that ability to be able to do that and tap into all that, because we are all that same being, we are all that part of that consciousness, and we are all tied together. So it's kind of fun to start diving into that and realizing how far it goes.
Totally. Great answer. And like you said, it is all about energy and kind of how we all tap into that energy. And there's that opens up a whole bunch of discussions on a whole bunch of different levels. But again, I'm here to kind of hold space for you and talk about what you do, and I'm excited because I love the things that you do. But I want to get into that conversation. It's obviously that you tap on energy and you receive energy and express energy in ways that are not, let's say, mainstream. And I wanted to know if you had a story or a memory to share that you remember, that moment where you were like, wait a second, things are not what's written in this book. Things are not what I've been taught at school. Out on the street, there's more to it. Is there a memory that you have that stands out?
Yeah. I lucked out, because I do have direct contact with source and mother and father God. And so they were directly speaking to me, and they came in at a point where I was at an all-time low. Like, I had a rough life and been attacked by darkness since I was about 2 years old, and it never stopped. So I had one thing after another always happening in my life. Even my children taken from me, my rights didn't matter, nothing. People paid for what they wanted, the grandparents, and so, like, at
Wow.
this point I was just lost, and that's when God stepped in, and God's like, all right, we're going to build you back up. We're going to build your foundation strong, where none of that darkness can get in anymore. We're going to show
Mhm.
you who you really are, but first we got to do all this work. We got to heal those traumas. We need you to realize the lessons and the point of everything. And I threw
Mhm.
my all into it, because really that was the only hope in sight, like, that I could find. And I've never regretted it since. But, like,
Right.
God showed me so much, that helped me tap into all these parts of myself. And that was the first thing. God was like, forget everything you've ever learned, forget it all.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anything
Right.
you've ever learned. And I remember that exact moment when I did that. And I remember my partner at the time came out of the bathroom, and I looked at him, and I remembered, I was like, we're soulmates, I've known you for lifetimes, like, and I knew. And that was my beginning right there. That was the start
That's
for
cool.
me. It just changed everything.
That's awesome. No, I think as you evolve, and it seems like a lot of people kind of have these stories of they were in this very, very dark place, right? And that they found themselves when they were there through whatever experience it might be. Um, and I think part of what I relate to that is finding yourself, right? Because I know for me, it was a long time of living my life into my 30s and into my 40s where I didn't even realize, like, I didn't really know myself, or I didn't love myself even. And it was through the healing, like you said. I think it's through healing that you really do start to get to know yourself, and you do start to get to understand the different levels of energy that exist that, you know, are not necessarily three-dimensional. I guess
Yeah.
that's the best way to describe it. Okay, so you were in a dark place, and God spoke to you and gave you some insight into things, and so immediately you said you started seeing clearer. You started seeing. I'm imagining this right now. I just felt this as I was talking to you, like you started seeing through love.
Mhm.
Does that
Yes.
sound right?
Most certainly. Most certainly. And then it was just, and it was also just being real and honest with myself. I spent a long time just digging deep and owning the things that have happened to me, and realizing the reasons why. And then also learning people. That was the biggest thing too, as well, is you have to learn other people and the reasons why they do the things that they do. So
Mhm,
that way you no longer let people affect you anymore. You know,
mhm,
you
mhm,
understand the reasons why they have done this and they judge you or they tear you down. And
mhm.
that was a big thing to help right there. You have to learn those things. It's discernment. You got to learn discernment
Yeah,
and stop internalizing everything and making it personal, and realize it's somebody else's wounding and not your own. And that was major for me because I spent a whole life with everybody taking their crap out on me that I was good to. So that was something I
yeah,
really had to like dig deep on. And it isn't always easy owning the parts of yourself too that you need to heal, or what's happened to you, you know, and to be honest with yourself.
mhm.
That's something people are, we're so worried about being judged. It's a part of what's in our DNA from back in the day.
Sure.
You know, you never wanted to be turned away from the tribe.
Right.
So we have to like realize this is just a genetic thing passed down, and realize that we don't have to be this way now, and judgment doesn't matter. Let them people judge you, you know.
Right.
They really should be judging themselves and worrying about themselves, but people are always going to point out the bad things, and you know that you could do a million good things, and that one bad thing, that's what they're going to make a big deal about. So
Sure.
I also grew up in a world where I didn't see people making sense. You know, you see the things they do. And even as a kid, I was just like, why are they doing this? This isn't good for
Right.
us. We're like de evolving here. And so I'm like, why should I care about their opinion anyways when I don't see them making smart choices? So that kind of like helped me just get my mind right and start focusing on me and not caring anymore what anybody thought about me.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think it's really tough these days that in this world we live in. It's really tough, and I think that you just hit on one of the biggest things. Is I think society teaches us to, you know, compare ourselves to others, to worry about what other people are thinking, when it's really just going inside and looking at yourself and being like, wait a second, I'm freaking amazing. You know what I mean? And knowing who you are, you know. I think that's for me, that's where it all changed, and that's where I started to be able to, everything you're saying, like start looking at other people without judgment, looking at myself without judgment. I guess that's really where it started, right? You got to not judge yourself, and then and love yourself, and then you can start to love others and not judge others. And as a matter of fact, I think that's just what happens. Right? When you love yourself, it just happens.
Actually, it's opposite usually, though. Most of us,
Oh,
because of our big heart, we're light workers. We all have these big hearts. A lot of us, our whole life, loved everybody else more than ourselves. We gave ourselves too
oh yeah.
much to everybody, you know, and didn't
Yeah.
give ourselves enough. So that's also a big thing that we had to heal from too, is realizing that, like, wait, why don't I pour into myself the same that I do into everybody else? And why aren't they pouring into me like I am them?
Right.
So it goes both ways. It could be both ways. I guess that's like your little polar opposites right there that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
both have
no,
to have.
totally. No, that totally makes sense, and I think I think that's actually a part of it, is when you've given yourself so much and tried that way, and then you try the other way when you're like, oh, wait a second, I do need to love myself, and I do need. Uh, I think it makes it easier to love other people. For me, it did, even though, kind of like you said, I always like kind of tried to give of myself and make other people happy, right? And again, I think we're just not taught to make yourself happy first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's most of the healers and the light workers I know have kind of come around to that. So why don't you share that with me, if you you know, I don't want to get too personal, but like, what was it that led
That's
you
fine.
from the dark to the light? Is there like Again, is there a specific moment or memory that you're like,
It was, I mean, well, when God starts speaking to you, it is pretty powerful. And like I said, there was no other option for me. I mean, that was the only thing that brought like a sign of hope is if I ran with this. But then as I
Mhm,
did, I started to see what an impact it made in my life. And I started to see
mhm,
how much happier I was, how much freer. Even when my life is like has nothing in its crap, like I found happiness and peace within me. It's like it didn't matter if everything wasn't going right in my life. Like I
mhm,
was finally happy and content without it. And then when you see that you can also influence other people,
mhm,
just by sharing what you learned and being you, it does a
mhm.
powerful thing to you. And
Right.
so that was my driving force. It was once I seen what it did for me and I look around, I just see we're all the same. Everybody's just broken and they're
Mhm,
all trying to get by the best that they can. But of
mhm,
course, we were all raised in this world where we're told that we have to be perfect and everything else. So nobody feels like they have anybody to talk to. Nobody's going to understand. They can't talk about it because then they're going to get judged.
mhm.
And really, we should be there lifting each other up and realizing we're all human. We all have hard times and we all need to, like, sometimes we just need to have a bad day and we need to be broken and cry it out what we've gone
Right.
through. And we should be able to know that nobody around us is going to judge us. They're going to be there for us. And
Right.
see that lacking in the world. So it's just like I want to spread more of that. And I want to get more people feeling the way that I feel every day because I
Mhm.
see that like everything God taught me, it's right. It works. It's just so much better. And why wouldn't you want that for everybody else? I don't want to be over here by myself. I
Absolutely.
want everybody to come join me. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
it's
I think it's a
beautiful.
great time for people who work with energy, especially in all the different ways that you do, to be here because I think a lot of people are starting to pay attention to that. It's starting to make sense to people. I know for me, as part of why I started the show was because all of a sudden I found myself with like a friend list of psychic mediums and Akashic Records readers, and I was just meeting and resonating with all of these people and becoming friendly with them. And then I was like, wait, this is all the same. This is all just an expression of energy and how these people connect to it and how they tune into it. And it was amazing. So you actually do a bunch of the things that I really am fascinated with. You're a channeler. You deal with Akashic energy, and you are a medium, so psychic energy. What's your favorite? What's your most powerful or favorite energy?
I am also a psychic surgeon and I have my light language. I'm a light language activator. And those are my
Yeah.
favorite because that really, there's nothing I can't do with it. And so it opens a doorway, like for me to get in and help everybody in every way. It's actually
Oh,
kind of nice. Like, even if that person has like health issues, if I'm helping them heal from traumas, because I'm also a life coach and stuff, a spiritual development life coach. So if I'm helping them and they've got health issues, I can also heal that. I'm able to take care of everything that could be going on with them. And at the same time, I mean, like I love the show. I get to do this, and like you're making it easier for people like us to do our job because I'm here to teach everybody to do what I do. There's many of
mhm,
us, that's what we're here strictly for, is to pass
mhm,
on what we know and help you get to our level of achievement in the game of evolution. And
mhm.
so this is a pathway. You guys make it very easy for us to be able to do that and bring forward the information that we share. But
Cool.
I definitely think it's the light language is my favorite. That one's
Cool. So
powerful.
I love that. Actually, let's stay there for a little bit because light language I love, and at least for me, I think I experienced light language uh, for the first time being called light language, because I probably experienced it before that in other ways. But the first time I heard it, being expressed that way was a friend of mine, Sarah Curley, and it was spoken light language. It was kind of sounded like a foreign language. It was a trance channel kind of thing. So how do you express light language? Because I know there's also visual and music and motions. There's so many different ways to express light
Yeah.
language.
Mine does come out through my hands as well. That's all light codes coming through. So, but my primary is speaking it. I am a speaker, and that's what I'm strong in. But I do love. Oh my god, I love when people have the visions and stuff. Like I have somebody I do this with. Like I will speak it, and then she's given the translation of what she sees. Or like I had one person, my higher self used
Wow.
to be there. So after I speak it, my higher self would tell her exactly what I was saying. But the descriptions, it's so beautiful when you get those two people paired together, you know, and they're telling you what they're seeing. It's mind-boggling sometimes. You're getting to see that whole galactic realm and what it like looks like and what's happening there, which is just so
Totally.
magical. And just it can
Yeah.
really blow your mind.
Very cool.
But,
It's
I love
yeah, I
this.
think what's that?
Oh, nothing. Go
I
ahead.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, again, I think for me, I think what's really cool about where I'm at and my experiences with those things was, you know, if you asked me 15 years ago, you know, and you showed me a channeler, which I saw channelers on YouTube 15 years ago, and I'm like, what the Galactic Council? What the hell are you know, like I was like, you know what, it's just beyond my understanding, and I just kind of dismissed it. And then when I experienced it firsthand with Sarah, especially, um, uh, I had an emotional response. Like I just, you know, I started to cry. Like I was like, okay, something's happening here. And I think for me, again, the same thing that I'm talking about psychic mediums and Akashic records, like there's a feeling that's associated with it. It's an energy, right? And for me, that's what's the most fascinating, I think, why I enjoy being around people who do tap into all these energies, because they bring it through, and I can feel it also. And it just feels amazing in all of its forms. I mean, I've seen light language even kind of expressed as kind of artwork, as hieroglyphic kind of
Yeah.
symbols and things like that. And even that, there are it's possible for you to look at that, and just by looking at it, you're getting feelings, you're getting messages, you're getting downloads, and it's all in this amazing form that just kind of energetic, you know, an energetic signature. I see Debbie Romero is out there somewhere too. What's up, Debbie Romero? Um,
Yeah, that
so
one blows my mind. Like I channel that too. And like it's pretty cool because say if I'm channeling dragons, when I'm doing the artwork, like I do a lot of the digital art too. So when I'm doing it, all of a sudden I'm seeing images of dragons all throughout this thing. So I know it's not coming from me. Like you know this is something outside of you
yeah,
channeling through you these light codes. It's mind-boggling how we
mhm,
can do
mhm.
this. And that's why I
Yeah,
love it though. This is something that changes people that aren't believers. Light language is something that can bring them around to finally listening to something new and taking on a new belief because it's something they can literally feel that they have no explanation for. So
totally.
that's why I love it.
Totally, I totally get that. That's a great explanation. So when you speak light language, again, I know there's so many different forms and ways that it happens. Are you channeling a specific consciousness, a specific being, a collective? What's happening when you're expressing light
It
language?
depends. It always changes. It could be a lot of times it is my higher self. And
Mhm.
then also it could be other beings. It could be the blue avians. It can be, oh gosh, I've even done the oh, what is it? The mantis. The mantis is just freaking crazy.
Oh
That's just
wow.
nuts because it's a lot of like clicking noises and stuff. It actually kills my tongue to do it, but you know, it's just something so out of this world. But yeah, it just depends on that moment and who wants to come through, what the purpose of the channeling is for, and who wants to step up to bring that forward. So it can always it changes, and that's why your dialect can change while you're doing it as well. Like I have my main dialect that is from my soul, and this is how everybody that channels is. Like we can all sound
Mhm.
different or
Right.
like a lot of times if they are from the same star system, you'll see their language sounds pretty similar, but then we could be channeling somebody else and then all of a sudden our dialect changes and it sounds completely different. So the
Yeah.
possibilities are really endless with this of what you can get and bring forward.
Totally, totally. And I think that's kind of interesting for me too, is watching different people express light language, and then noticing like similarities in maybe some accent or some of the words, but like like you said, everybody's kind of got their own style, you know, of expressing it, which is cool, because I guess that's just an what's the word I'm looking for? An aspect? No, the byproduct of the individual perspective that it's coming through. You know, very cool. Oh, and
Yeah.
Russ Kamard is here. Russ says there are more things in heaven and earth than are even dreamt of in our philosophy. Yes, I love that.
Yes.
I love just knowing
Yes.
that and thinking that. It just like it kind of
It
sounds
gets your
like
mind
over.
going.
Yeah, it sounds overwhelming, but it's like it's exciting. It's like, okay, okay. Because I think as humans, as a society, we're kind of taught that knowledge is finite, right? Like, once
Yeah.
there's a certain amount of things to know and the way it is, but it's like that's only one set of reality. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of it. It's like the instructions to one board game, and you got all these different board games.
Well, that's what's fun about spirituality is there's so much. Just what I tell people, like once you learn one like little part of spirituality or like one modality, then you get to use it, and then bam, there's like a million more that you can now choose which one you want to pick up, and it's never ending. And as humans, we were living as robots. We were on repeat every day, and we didn't realize it and how boring that is. And like I used to say this to people, I'm like, come on over. I'm like, come to the dark side as you like to look at it. I was like, it's so much better over here. I got dragons, I got a unicorn, I've got like all these little things. Like, what do you got? You got doing the same stuff every day. Wake up at 5, drink your cup of coffee, get dressed, go to work, come home, eat, go to bed. I'm like, just come over and try it out a little bit. It's so much better
Yeah.
over here. The water's fine.
And I could actually remember feeling that exact thing, like being in my car and feeling like like, okay, I'm going to work again. It's Groundhog Day, and it's just like I remember feeling that, and like and even now I still have a full-time job. I work at a studio, but like it's the way you travel through through your daily activities that makes a difference, right? And I think once you're aware, like, okay, I'm just doing this on a repeat cycle, or I'm going to make the best out of every day. I'm going to put intention into every conversation that I have. You know what I mean? That's the way I like living. That's the way I like to be. And kind of what
Because you're
keeps me
actually
happy.
living now.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's the way I look at it. You're
absolutely.
actually living. Before we're not living like that. I mean, it's just you're like a robot, pretty much. I mean, it's no different. It's like a computer program. You're programmed to do
Well,
something the same thing every day. Now, when we
totally.
got into this, we're actually living life, like, and it's so freeing. And ugh, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I love
I could not
I
go
love
back.
the joy you feel in this like level of awareness, because it's true. It really, you look around and you see so many people struggling day to day just to get through life. And then you kind of you're in this kind of awareness space, and it's not that way. It doesn't need to be that way. You can smile even in the face of adversity, which is something that I've been doing a lot lately. Today, oh my god, it was just so frustrating today. And I have 3 people who work in the office with me, and they were just like, what's going on, like and I always talk about this stuff with them, and they're like, oh, we're feeling your energy, Mike. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's real, right? So yeah, but that's the good thing about it, right? Like I was frustrated, I was going through it, but I knew that it was a momentary thing. I knew it was like, okay, it's like if you're swimming in the ocean and you get caught up in a little whirlpool for a second, it happens, and you just get away, and there's the rest of the ocean and the rest of the way you can feel. So yeah,
I love
totally.
that.
That's awesome. Okay, so I do want to kind of stay with light language. What can I ask you about light language? I've already asked you. You said it's different all the time. Do you have a favorite? The mantis,
Would
you
you like
said.
me to speak some for everybody?
I well, that was going to be one of my questions too. Like, how do you
I figured
prepare,
that.
and would you do it? So let's just do it. I think this is also part of what the live stream of consciousness needs to evolve into, is a segment where it's like, okay, here's a gifted person, and here's their gift.
I like to also, it's bringing forward my gift. It's getting to use it. Anybody that comes here today, they'll get to experience what light language is, and also the activation. Because my team, I ask them to always bring forward exactly what it is everybody needs.
Mhm.
So, and which could be different for each person today. Like, so you'd never know what you're going to experience. It's going to be exactly what you need is what you're going to get from the light language.
Awesome.
Okay. So all I ask is that you guys just place your hand over your heart. This just says to your higher self that you're connecting at your heart with yourself. And I want you to take a deep breath in, exhale. And while I do this beautiful light language, I want you to just picture golden energy. It's going to be entering at your crown chakra, and that beautiful golden energy is going to fill every inch of your body while I do this work. Halalorionate, Asilalea kunale atoshi alalia batai, Anasi laderia kuna kenerabeatushi ayaliatu sanariapa, Nararia kunareate, Asi, I ishinaliatoke nariapatai anariasa. Let's also do rains of heaven to heal their aura and bring it to the highest frequency possible. Shadalia puna lete kenerayatai, sanariatu shiayakani nadaya usialariatuna, esinaria rashu. Anararia kukuna leriate, asinaya puyayate, lalia manariaku, ekeneriatiasa. Right, take a deep breath in. Exhale. And we are done. Just make sure you drink a lot of water the next 2 days because those were just DNA and activations. And if you're dehydrated, you could end up losing that work that we did. So just stay hydrated. If you feel tired or anything of the next couple days, just give your body whatever it needs. If you need to rest, rest. If you want to eat, eat. Just honor what your body tells you it wants.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And I also love I love people. I love the way you do what you do, right? So you just did that, and you kind of give everybody an explanation of how they may receive it and what to expect. That's I think that's awesome. And I know for me, I definitely felt my heart starting to beat a little bit, through while I had my hands on my heart as you were doing that. And I appreciate it. I love that so much. So cool. And Grace Girl is saying thank you, and Jan.
And everybody's how they did it. Okay. Yeah, how you receive it's always going to be different for each person. I see a lot of times non-believers, they might not experience it as intensely or see as much or feel as much. Then you have the people that see things, colors, shapes, symbols. I had one person shocked me. I thought I was just like working on healing him. He came to me for help. He was new on the spiritual journey. He's like, I believe, but I'm new and still learning. He's like, I'm suffering from health problems due to, my whole life before. So I thought that's what I'm working on. Next thing you know, this kid is just speaking light language better than like that's the only language he's ever spoken. And I'm just sitting there like with my jaw on the floor, like blown away by what I'm hearing. And I could tell like his soul was blessing me. And then all of a sudden he got done and we were just like talking about it, both of us just like, what was this? And then he's like, I think my soul wants to talk to you. And this has to be my hands down favorite experience with light language. His soul came through and was just like, thank you, Christina, for what you did today. They're like, this is one soul that we didn't want to miss ascension. And if you hadn't have done this, he would have. And it turned out like when he was 8 years old, his family moved. He lives in it was Iran or Iraq. I can't remember, but which all this stuff, this beliefs are very like, not practiced over there. And his family moved to a new home. They had entities in that home and he was possessed at 8 years old. He went everywhere to try to get help, even to the church, to the professionals that do exorcisms and everything. And it turned out, they're working for the other side and they put more stuff into him and then sent out a video using that to get people to come to them for more of that, work and let everybody know in the community what he had and ruined everything for him on top of giving them more demons. So that day his soul was just like, thank you. Like you're the first person that's ever helped this boy. And, he's like 19, 20 at this time, and he's been dealing with this since 8 years old. And every single time he went for help, he was exploited or, and made worse. So just like hearing his soul's love and appreciation, it was like life-changing. And that's why I love doing this. Like, but you'll never know what you're going to get in this.
Yeah, totally. That's so true. And it's really interesting. I mean, I think I may have said this here before, but I don't feel drawn personally to any specific development, right, of any sort of my abilities. So, but there's all sorts of like, intuitive development classes, right, where you can develop mediumship, you can develop different aspects. But I do, since I know so many people, I do barter, and I took a Akashic Records reading class. I learned how to open the records and read the records, and watching people do it and experiencing it, it was cool. But then I was like kind of afraid to try. Like I was like, I don't know, I didn't let go so much, right? But part of the class was you had to practice with people, you had to do it a certain amount of times, and we were partnered up, you know, with different people, and I did it, and I let go, and you know, I'll be honest, I didn't like, it wasn't as epic as I thought or might have expected. And I think that's part of my issue, is expectations in general, right? Of what it's going to feel like or look like. But I just described, right, what I was feeling at the moment and what I was going through. And both of the women that I worked with, or two of the women that I worked with, were like, oh my God, thank you. Like, that was exactly what I needed to hear. And it was like, it was an amazing feeling. You know, I still don't really know what I did, but I definitely know I was connected to that whole experience, right? And that message getting to that person.
It's hard to trust. It's hard to, 'cause I'm the same, like me, I've always been, the auditory is strongly my gifts, that inner knowing and like, or inner hearing, and you have to just trust what you're hearing and bring it forward. It's not
Mhm,
easy. It's very hard
mhm.
to feel comfortable and trust, like when you say this to somebody, that they're going to get it and it's going to be, you know, you're actually saying the right thing. But that's where practice is good. The more you actually
Sure.
get out there and do it, the more times you're going to see, oh my God, that they really did resonate with it. I am doing this. And then you start building up that confidence. You believe in yourself. You see that you
Mhm,
really can do this and that you have these gifts. But it really
mhm.
does take throwing yourself out there on a limb and just like
Yeah.
trusting and allowing.
Yeah, it's interesting, as we're even having this conversation, I'm realizing certain things, right? Like, I definitely, there are moments where I'm watching somebody express light language, whether it's, you know, the way you did or however it might be, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that, right? And not only, ooh, I want to do that, but like, I can do that, right? But I think, as much as I don't really have a lot of fear, right? I've learned to understand fear and how it can control different things. I think that's what it is. It's the fear of being judged, which is why I don't really even attempt these things, you know. And maybe that's, for me, what I need to work on before I even attempt those things, is letting go of that fear of being judged.
Mhm.
Because I think, you know,
I
again,
was
I'm
going to
just
offer
telling.
you if you wanted to barter. When you just said, I was going to offer, actually, I think you are ready for light language, is what they told me.
Done.
So,
Done deal.
but yeah, we are our biggest blockage. Like anything, like we block our gifts all the time and stuff. We don't realize it. We'll be like wanting this and wanting that, and we're like, why can't I get this yet? But it's actually us. For one, it can't be that preconceived notion that this, it's going to
Yeah.
look this way, or it's going to feel
Right.
this way, or come
Right.
packaged like this, and that blocks you. And then it's not believe. The biggest thing I've seen is people not believing. You know, when they do hear something in their mind, they don't trust it and just say it. They're doubting themselves, and so it's really, that's part of what we have to heal. It's learning what we're capable of and understanding, and then also allowing, which we can do by just setting that affirmation. Affirmations are everything. Speaking those things into
Sure.
existence before you do
Yeah.
anything. I allow, I accept, I receive, you know,
Mhm.
and then using those words right there, it opens the floodgates where they can actually step in and do that work with
Right.
you and speak to you and channel through you. And it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it really is so important. And again, I don't mean to, I'm kind of like just wrapped up in my own thoughts here about myself and my own expressions of my connection to source, right? Because my connection to source, if I resonate with all of these other different modalities, like, I get those and I trust those, and I'm like, okay, you know, I've said this phrase a couple of times over the past couple of weeks, and that is, I cannot bring myself to deny somebody else of their experience. So if you're channeling, right, and you're talking light language and telling me this is what's happening, I can't be like, no, you're just making sounds and making it up as you go. I can't bring myself to even believe that, right? I believe it. I know it. I feel it. And so, again, you know, like I said, like, I'm at a certain place with my beliefs, but realizing that, as much as I feel like, yeah, fear doesn't bother me, I don't have an ego, this and that and the other thing, like, those are probably the things I need to work on, um and to let my higher self be a superstar. You know, because I think that's what I think you are, and I think all of these people who have completely trusted in their gifts and practice their gifts to the level that you do, you know, I really admire that. So again, thank you for bringing that and offering that.
We're still like you. We still have like stuff to learn, and we're still going like we have to catch ourselves. You know, a part of this is every day you have to make a conscious effort to remind yourself of even the things that you've already learned. You know, you think, oh, I learned this and I got it locked in, but you're like, okay, after a while, are you implementing that actually? Have you actually forgot about that? And so it's like every day you have to constantly remind yourself of stuff. So we're like,
Yeah,
that's the thing. We're all the same here, and people don't get that. Like, you know,
yeah,
it doesn't matter who we are on a soul level. Like, I'm an ancient. I've been here since the start of this planet. I actually helped create this planet, but yet I'm still just like everybody else. And I've had to walk down that road as everybody else has. So, and that's where we have that. That's what helps us be able to stand up and do what we do now and help people,
hmm
because we
hmm
have walked that same path and we went through everything you did. So that's why we did it. So we could have an
hmm
understanding to help you guys right here, right now, when this world would be going through this shift and we knew you would need help. That's where we stepped in and
totally,
why we are here.
totally, totally. And so you just made some things come through, right? And I've been saying things that I don't usually say, like this is what's coming through, and it's just that it came through and it left. I just feel like, yeah,
You
I
know
just
about the Marma point?
know what's
I
that.
want to show you something. If you ever forget something, see your little thumb right here, the part where it's like a little bit fatty right under your thumb. Take your
Mhm,
finger and
mhm.
poke it 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you will remember exactly what it was you just forgot. It works every single time for me.
I'm gonna try with this hand.
Yeah, you kind of got to make sure you get in that right spot. It's like right about here underneath the thumb.
Now I'm trying too hard. Now I'm trying too hard.
I've done that
Um,
before. I messed myself up trying that too.
I just feel like, again, people. This is why I love this, because I feel like this is the message. People need to understand that the the society that we've grown up in has disempowered us in a lot of ways, to connect with things that are natural, powers that again, we people like psychic mediums and channelers have tapped into. And so it was outside of that, right? So outside of the metaphysical aspects of it are the simple aspects of non-judgment, right? Things like that, like where I think that really allows you, one, to be who you are, two, this is what I was going to say, I did remember it. For me, I suddenly was seeing my reflection everywhere, meaning that anybody I met, I was able to see an aspect of myself, whatever it might be. Sometimes I didn't even necessarily recognize or identify that aspect of myself. I just felt it. And I think that's kind of, so that's kind of what you were saying, like, oh, we're just like you, right? I think we all are an aspect of a big you, right? And so
Yes.
we all should remember each other and know each other and feel each other, right? Just on that basic energetic level, like, feel other humans. And man, what a better world it would be if we were just a little more compassionate, through feeling each other and just saying, okay,
Yeah.
whatever your experiences brought you to who you are, here you are right now in the moment with me, and let's just be, and get rid of all judgment and all of that stuff. I think that's my goal with this show, one person at a time, to talk about that and get everybody to see that. All right, so my brain is going all over the place now.
Honestly, that's
So,
God's most powerful message. That's good. I'm doing my job then. I'm doing my job.
oh yeah,
That's a
a
good sign.
million percent, a million
I was gonna say
percent.
God's
Say
been
that
wanting me to
again.
share this week, so I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you guys. But that's actually God's been wanting me to share this week and made me do
Okay.
this. So I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you guys now, and because it's a lot about what you were just speaking of. It's that he's tired, and she is tired of seeing people judge each other and tear each other down. It's tired of the wars, tired of the fighting always. They're like, we're done. We're done fighting for people's love. We're done for fighting for people to respect each one another and stuff. And that's what it's all about. Like, we are equal. We come from the same source. And like how religion ended up convincing people to, turn on each other, and especially over religions and stuff. Do you not realize like God created them too? So how can you look at yourself as any different? Because that was a creation from the
Right.
source. So how come you're better than this other creation? Just because of beliefs. I mean, it's ridiculous. And when I said this to somebody last week, they were just like, "Oh, you're foolish if you think that people are just never going to start, or they're going to ever stop judging people." And I'm like, "See, you're a part of the problem. You're exactly who this message is for." And it's really
Yeah,
just
totally.
programming, it's indoctrination. Family keeps passing it down more and more, but
Mhm.
we can break those chains. We do not have to continue down that same path. Like, people didn't think I would make it through everything I went through. Even the divine didn't think I would actually be able to accomplish what I
Oh,
have.
wow.
Because I made it that hard on myself. They really didn't think I would be here today. But
Wow.
you can turn your whole life down, like, or up, you can turn your life from upside down to right side up. And
Mhm.
it just takes you committing to it and knowing what you want and realizing that you're capable of anything. And that's the
Mhm.
thing. We got to realize we are a part of source. We hold source's light. So we can do the same things. Our voices are powerful. Speak what you want into existence. Start taking control of your life. Every day, wake up and say, "This is what I want to happen." Before you go to sleep, say, "Tomorrow, this is how my day will be."
Right.
And command that, because until you do, you actually are given permission then for all these other souls and beings to come in, and they have say over what happens in your life. And this is where your life is full of chaos and you never know what to expect
Right.
because you're not taking control and actually setting your day and your life how you want it to be, because you
Right.
actually, it's all up to you. But until you take your power, all these other beings get to come in and decide for you.
Yeah. And you know what, I want to comment on that. I think that I totally get it and I totally agree. And I think it's a great philosophy that if people would adopt or adapt, that life would get better for them. Therefore, life would get better for the collective, right? Like, so that person that you were talking about who said, "Oh, you're crazy if you think people are going to change," they can't wrap their head around the idea that other people are going to change. So why should they? Right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so that's one thing, but I think the other thing is, wait, saying I can do anything, I have the power, it can be any way I want it to be. The important thing is there are also expectations, right? It's not just going to be like, okay, I said it before I went to bed, I'm going to wake up and everything's going to be different. It's a little bit every day that you say that and you commit to that intention, that
Hmm.
you'll notice that you're starting to act different. You're starting to talk to people differently because you're committing to that intention. You're the energy exchange between people, and I talked about this early on in my show all the time. It's like everything you experience is an energy exchange, right? And you have a lot of control of how that energy exchange goes. You have complete control over it because whatever energy you get, you're the one who decides how you're going to respond to it. And I think, again, society has kind of given us that attitude of like, "Oh, you're going to treat me this way, I'm going to treat you this way," instead of, you know what, I'm going to show you what it's like to be loved, instead of treating you that way. And then things, I think, happen and things change. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but I know that, I
Oh,
think
it's
once
very hard.
yeah, yeah.
That's,
But I think there's a certain moment for me. There was a certain moment after I had
I
committed
mean,
to the
most of my
idea.
life I did that.
You were like, "Yeah, screw, I'm not gonna, things aren't getting better, so I'm not getting better," right? That's what you're saying most of your life?
Like me, I did opposite. No, most of my life I did opposite. Like, I would
Oh,
stick
oh,
by what
oh,
I felt my heart was right, which usually, and I wouldn't be
I
spiteful.
got you.
I didn't take like the path that others people did. I took the road
Right.
less traveled, and you know what? Usually bit me in the butt. I'm not gonna lie. Usually those
Sure.
people that did wrong, they ended up, getting and prevailing. But God's like, but you're not gonna see. You don't know the future. You don't know what's to come, because
Right.
you are going to
Mhm.
be rewarded for that. And little do
Right.
they realize, like, it could be 20 years down the road, 5 years down the road, or 50 years down the road. And all of a sudden their life comes crumbling apart. And they're like, "God, why? Why did you do this to me?" And they're like, "You remember back there 10 years ago? remember when you did this? Yeah,
Mhm,
that's
mhm,
for what
mhm,
you did back then. And they get
mhm,
cocky when they get
mhm,
away with the stuff, and they usually tend to do more. And so it's like I'm glad I stuck with what I did, and that's what God said He wanted
yeah,
me to share with people. You know, He wanted me to share those things to show them, like, look, there is a different way of doing things, and they can
mhm,
work out for you. But at least you know, even if it doesn't work out, then at least you can sleep with yourself at night. You know, two wrongs don't ever make a right. It's not good. You know, you
right,
can't fight hate with
absolutely,
hate. You can't fight evil with evil, you know? And so
absolutely.
that's the difference. It's like, who do you want to be at the end of the day? Do you want to be able to sleep and feel good in your skin and not have things keeping you up at night?
Right, totally. No, and you know, it's interesting you're saying that because a lot of times when, again, like when I'm experiencing adversity or someone's doing something to me, I'm just like, I'm so grateful that I'm me. You know what I mean? And not because something's happening to me, but because I wouldn't behave that way. I wouldn't treat someone that way. I wouldn't, you know, I honor, you know, my interaction with other people. You know, it's a blessing to interact with other people. And you know, again, I think you and me and everybody here in the audience, we just need to have that intention, and the more we do, the more people we will affect, and the more people will, you know, start to realize like, oh, wait a second, I like the way that looks, I like the way that feels. You know what I mean? I think for me, that's also another big thing. It's like when I get angry or like elevated or frustrated, I'm like, I don't like the way this feels. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I'm just not going to be frustrated, I'm not going to be angry, and I feel much better. So I know, you know, because when you're happy and loving, I like the way that feels, right? That feels good.
Yeah.
So,
You know, what helped me was I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn. So if I see somebody want something from me so badly, like I'm not going to give them that. And so I seen also like cuz I can get very heated, especially when I see injustices or just people that went
mhm,
against like everything I know in my heart and soul is right, you know.
mhm, mhm,
It's very easy for me to do that, but then I realized about how energy and how they steal your energy and how they need
mhm,
that. They need
mhm,
what I have
mhm,
because they don't got that. And then I'm like, you
mhm,
ain't getting
mhm.
that. It's like I'm not giving you my energy. I'm not going to let you upset
Right.
me. I'm not going to give you this. And because that's
Yeah.
the ultimate revenge. What they tried to do to upset you, it ends up biting them in the butt, and they're the ones that now upset and didn't get what they
Right.
wanted. So that's what I used as my fuel was like learning all these little things, and then it's like, yeah, turned it around on you. You thought you were gonna get me, but look who got
Totally.
got.
Totally, totally. And I think I've heard that somewhere where you kind of like should look at it like, okay, I have a wallet full of energy, right? And each interaction is like I got to give a certain amount away. And like so driving, right? Somebody cuts you off, and you're like, oh man, that jerk, whatever. And then you get into work and you're like, oh man, this you start telling other people, right? And you're spending all of this energy on this thing, and you could just decide, you know what? That jerk is gone. I'm going to keep all this energy in my wallet for myself. Yeah,
You also
totally.
create an energetic cord when you do that. Whenever, say, you're just at the line at a gas station and the cashier ticks you off, she's taking too long or whatever, you get mad and you still keep stewing about it after leaving there. You still get upset. You just created an energetic cord now with that
Mhm.
person and you're tied to them.
Yeah,
So
that's
after you
such a
have
great
healed,
way, yeah.
after having a million cords, you start caring about that stuff. You realize how much work it's a lot easier to get these cords and these problems
Mhm.
than it is to heal them and get rid of them. So you
Totally,
start
and that
learning just like, I'm not gonna get them at all. I'm gonna work at it.
exactly, and I love that connection of those concepts because that's a great way to visualize it for just like kind of like the layperson who may not be into all of this energy stuff, right? I talk about energy around my girlfriend has a 17-year-old, and he's just like, oh, you're always talking about energy, you know, he just like but that's a great way to put it because people feel that, right? You know, I always try to, when I'm trying to discuss energy and people are like, energy, whatever, that's not real. I'm like, have you ever gone to a football game or a concert? You know, like there's a lot of energy in that room, and you go in there and you feel it. And if you let it in, you know, you become part of that energy, and you're a part of that. So yeah, energy is a real thing, and I love that people are discovering that. I love that people like you are out there practicing it as an art form, as a living, I guess you would say, right? This is what you do. This is who you are, right? You have totally
A way of
taken,
being.
yeah, a way of
It's a
being.
way of life.
Exactly. Exactly. Awesome.
See, this
Um,
lifetime, it's cool. in this life we get to learn. Before, whenever we would incarnate, we would always get to either we would be all spiritual, or we would have just a human experience where we didn't really care about spirituality. So you could be like a
Mhm.
monk in one life or something or none, and then the next, you don't even focus on that. This lifetime's about being both, learning to balance
Mhm.
both being human and the
Mhm.
spiritual. So some days I might not be into the spiritual. I might just focus, okay, I've been neglecting my like regular life. I'm going to go just focus on being me for a little bit. And then I come back to that. So many people like want to beat themselves up if they're not doing enough in spirituality and stuff like that. And I
Right.
am always telling them, stop being hard on yourself. Like, it's okay. It's about finding that balance. And balance sometimes
Totally.
means, all right, I need to take from here and I'm going to start putting that energy over here. And then, okay, now I need more energy over here. So
Totally.
don't beat yourselves up. We are so hard on ourselves, and that's our biggest enemy in this life is ourself and all the rules we put on ourselves and the expectations and just demands. And we owe ourselves so much more than that.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
People like, I love this show. I love this conversation. I love this moment that we're having right now. But people are always like, oh, why you must constantly be looking for the answer and everything. And I'm like, not really. Like, I'm in the moment. I like talking about that stuff, and I like connecting with people and sharing those perspectives about it. But like, I also like going to a concert. It's like I don't always have to be thinking about what is consciousness. Only on Thursdays in between 9 and 10 do I really think about it. No, that's not true. um
What's
yeah, you
beautiful is when you start that journey, God brings you the answers. You don't got to go seeking like this. God will bring it to you and he places it in front of you somehow, some way. You don't got to go searching for that. It comes to you when you walk this journey and you are connected to that. It goes so deeper. Like, that's the good part. When you start healing and you get past the healing part, then you start to see that, like, they make it where you don't have to do all the work. You can seriously tap in and find out anything you want to know. I don't even got to go research now. It's like I just got to go, hey, higher self. Hey, can you tell me this? Hey, what about that
right,
person up there on Fifth Street? Like, can you tell me what they're like they did back then and like what's going on with them? We don't got to go searching. It comes to us very easily. It's a
totally.
beautiful thing. It's a part of the reward for working on yourself.
Totally. Michael Christopher's out there. What's up, Michael? He's saying you're not in the woo-woo zone 24/7. And that's funny that he says that, because I feel like that's what I'm trying to discover, right? So you even said, like, this show, I realized, for me it started as like cool conversations that I really like to have. But then I started making connections with people, and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to meet that person and have that experience with that person. So I think that I have kind of put this out here as a beacon for the people who I'm supposed to receive and who are supposed to receive me or give to me or exchange with me. And that's what's happening. And that's everybody out there. You guys have been awfully quiet tonight. But I totally thank everybody for being here. If there's anybody new here, this is every Thursday. I do this live on YouTube. I do this on Facebook. Subscribe to one of those places and make a comment or something like that, because that helps me grow this community. Like Christina was saying, I love to hold space for really cool people who do really cool things. And if you were here earlier and you got to experience Christina's channeling, I didn't get to ask. I just remember this. Did anybody experience anything specific during that? Because for me, again, I know that light language is definitely an activating experience. Sometimes people will experience light language and something will happen and they'll be like, wait a second, something happened. And if anybody experienced anything, I'd love to hear about it. And again, I totally thank you for sharing that. It's I don't like to ask because I know sometimes it takes a little preparation, or sometimes it drains people, when maybe they don't want to get drained on a Thursday night. But
Luckily,
you have been
I replenish my own energy so that I don't get drained ever from my work, and I'm able to jump right in
awesome.
because of my connection. So I got a telepathic connection with the divine. So also, if you guys have any questions and you want to ask them, I don't mind. I can channel that answer for you.
Let's
Um,
do that. Let's do that. I normally wrap it up soon, but I will certainly open the floor. I love it. I have so much gratitude for you offering that. I love
yes.
gifted
I want
people who come.
to help you and your people. I want to do something for your people, and so I don't
Yeah.
mind at all.
So if
I got this
anybody,
gift
Mike,
for
you're gonna watch the replay.
reading.
Yeah. If any questions pop into your mind about something that you want to know, or about the world, about anything. Again, Christina is connected to so many energies. And Janet says, thank you. I enjoyed the channeling too. So that's excellent to hear. So while we're waiting, if anybody's asking any questions, I always forget to do this, Grace. You forgot to remind me. I made a banner of where people can find you. So you are on the Oracle site, and there's some more information about you there, and people can get in touch with you there. What do you usually do? So do you usually do events, or like how do you find yourself practicing with the public?
I haven't done any events in a while, but I'm fixing to. Actually, this week the divine told me they wanted me to create a mini course on forgiveness. So
Okay.
I'm really, really excited about that because I just got some major epiphanies this week of like the last little few things I really needed to like take in about the whole forgiveness thing. So I'm excited that they want me to do this because it means that it's supposed to help a lot of people. So I'm excited about, I'll be bringing that forward in the next couple weeks, but mostly, it's just putting myself out there and like you were saying here and how much this has brought you, whenever you put yourself in a position where you are opening the doorway for the divine to be able to bring people to you is always something you want to pursue, when you're wanting to help people. That's something you can say every day to yourself, God, bring me anybody that, needs my help. I'm leave myself open. But when you open the channels like this and you connect with more people and you start doing podcasts or doing your own show and you're putting yourself out there, that opens where God can now has more of a way to connect people, as where before, if you're just sitting at home every day, like how is God going to make you run into this person over here in Ohio that you could help or in India or whatever it could be? So that me, I just try to always put myself out there. A lot of times me just commenting on Facebook pages, it opens that doorway and God brings the people to me through that. The possibilities are endless. You just got to make the options open for them to be able to do that.
I love that answer, and I totally resonate with it. It's there's so much truth in everything that you've been saying tonight. So I really appreciate that. And let's see, Michael Christopher, I'm so happy I was introduced to your channel. Thank you so much, Michael. Michael is a great psychic medium himself. Grace Grella, also blessed to be in your energy. Christina, thank you. Another amazing psychic medium. And yeah, I do feel that. I feel like this was a way for me to put myself in the energy of all these amazing people. Even the audience is amazing. I love, sometimes I'm sitting here watching, the audience is all like talking to each other, hey Ninja, hey Tim, they're all talking to each other, and I just love that. I have never really been like a people person, and I've never really thought too much about community. And in the last bunch of weeks or months doing this, I've been brought to so many different kinds of groups of communities on Facebook and stuff, and it's just so amazing, the people and the support and the love, and of course the cool readings and experiences that I get to be a part of, which is awesome.
They say that, like attracts like, and like, if you want to become rich and you're not rich, hang around some rich friends, you have wealthy, successful people, because then you are going to end up becoming that. So that's what you did. And like, a lot of people aren't people persons anymore, but it's because like the world's kind of messed up around us, they're not giving you something to like. But whenever you start surrounding yourself with the awakened, you start to see that, wait a minute, I kind of do like these people, you're surrounding yourself with that are like-minded, and it totally changes your life. Then you're going to draw in more, and now you start to see the shift happen. It comes slow at first, but then all of a sudden you sit there one day and you're just like, wait a minute, you think back into how you were just 3 months ago and you're like, so much has changed. You don't ever notice it right in that moment, and it seems like it's taken forever, but then when you look back, it's like, wow, that happened fast. I'm totally different than I was 6 months ago, 3 months ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, and for me, one of the things that I love about where I'm at, and the way I can look at things is the idea of, so I can talk about the world, right? And say, the world isn't in the greatest place right now. Lots of things are happening. But last year, I probably would have said, oh my God, it's all going to end. Everything, it's going downhill and all of these things. And now, like, I still believe it's pretty bad, and I believe there are things out there that are happening, but I am so not in fear of the future of humanity. I'm excited about the future of humanity. I'm excited about where all of this is going, and our reconnecting with our own power and our own energy. And I was going to say ancient energies, but it's really, I mean, I guess that's just a word, right, to describe it. But it's truly like source energy, right? And it's exciting to be alive right now. And hell, I have a show where I'm bringing all these people on, and they're all connected to source energy, and they all express it, and it's so cool. I guess I was saying in the last couple of weeks that I think I have a psychic fetish, because I just love being around psychics when they're reading, like they're not even reading me, and I'm just like, ooh, this is great. I could feel it. I feel the energy, and it's just awesome.
It's amazing when you start realizing that we lost touch with all these things of who we are and what we can do. So when you start to tap into that, it's just like you get mesmerized, because it's magic. It's magical, the whole experience. And who wouldn't want to be a part of that, or like it just engulfed in it? A lot of times we can fall into almost obsession with it, which isn't good. We always got to find balance and everything. Even spirituality, you can go overboard with it. I did. I know I did. But it's just a beautiful thing right now. And like we got to remember, we're the groundbreakers. We're here to pave the way for the future, for everybody else. So we have to remember that all the time, even if these other people aren't on the bandwagon, even with like all this stuff and what they're talking about is going on in war. We got to remember, like, if we don't like the sound of something, don't believe it. Know that, because we can end up creating these things and going, the reason that information's out there, it's being placed out there by that side that don't want to, turn over their power. So always just remember that, and remember you're here to set that example. And so there's got to be some of us out there all the time that are like working against them, combating what they're trying to put out in the world, because that could manifest if we didn't. So that's what I just try to remind myself every day, is just like, hey, if I don't like the sound of it, no, sorry, not happening.
No, totally, yeah. Totally. And then and I guess if you're into spirituality and the idea of infinite possibilities, you've got to be like, all right, well, that is a possibility, but I'm going to hang out over here with these possibilities. I'd rather hang out with these possibilities than those possibilities.
Because some people may manifest that in their life. They literally believe it, and they can't. You're going to experience it. That's the thing. We do have like these two worlds that are splitting right now. We are coexisting, but we're also, we're seeing the separation now. We're starting to see how like they're less a part of our experience in life than like what they used to be. And so it's kind of weird, and we're all adjusting and learning how this is, and it's the first time it's ever been done. So it is like, even to the most experienced, it can kind of be overwhelming, and you don't know what to expect, but we're all learning. Even the universe, they're learning this too, because it's a first.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Well, you are so much fun to talk to. I feel like we've really only scratched the surface. I feel like I really do. I feel like there's so much more to you. And I want to talk to you after the show, and let's talk about that, because maybe you do know what part of me needs to be developed, and can help me do that. I'm always developing, right? You're always got to grow and learn new things. So you're awesome to talk to. I do want to have you back on the show. I do want to talk to you after I sign off, but before I put you back in the green room, you have any words of wisdom for my audience, or parting words, loving words, nasty words?
I just love it with
Any
light.
kind of
Okay.
word?
That was nice. I just got hit with energy as soon as you started saying that.
Nice.
This is my favorite thing I love to share with people, and that's what in source is just like, share it, please. And I love sharing the story. But remember why we're here. And God, one time my friend was asking me, she wanted to know what the deal was with no attachments, that whole concept. Because she's like, clearly, if you have a child, you're going to be attached. How can you not be? And I just started channeling right then. And, source like, there's a difference that when you have a child, they turn 18, they want to move on the other side of the state or the other side of the world. You need to let them know that you did your job, or hope that you did your job and taught them everything they need to know, but you got to let them go. Or if your husband wants to leave you, or your wife, or if they die, you have to let them go. We've done stupid things throughout time trying to hold on to something. And then he said, right now, I'm at that point with you guys. I am having to let go of your hands. I've taught you everything that I could, but I'm scared. I'm wanting to make sure that you've got all these lessons down and everything that I can before I let go of that hand. I'm that loving parent that is scared to let go of that child's hand for the first time. But he's like,
Yeah.
but I got to. It's time for you to go out in the world, and you're going to create something amazing that's going to change this world forever. But I just got to know that you're ready for it. So that's why there's all the tests. That's why there's all these experiences. And I just love to share that with people because I had never felt so much love in my life. Like it was the
Mhm.
most overwhelming thing. I can finally talk about it without crying, but it's like for like so long, if I even thought about it, I would just start crying again because it was
All
that
right.
powerful. So just remember, guys, like even with all the tests and everything, we're being led, and it's all just like these are what we need to learn. It we're graduating too. We're all moving up in the whole entire universe, like not just us, but our, all the stars, all of the beings, like everybody. We're all evolving a layer to get another level together, and so everything is just part of that process. Be willing to forgive and understand whatever's going on in your life. It was meant to
Mhm.
happen just so you can have another layer of wisdom and knowledge that you didn't have
Mhm.
before. And just know
Mhm.
that that's going to be your biggest ally in the future. We're supposed to take all those, like the pains and the traumas end up becoming your triumph. I wouldn't be here who I am today and doing the work I did if it wasn't for those. So
Absolutely.
always remember that. Be open to new ideas, be willing to explore new territory because you maybe just don't have a certain understanding yet that helps you see the full picture of something. So
Mhm.
you always have
Mhm.
to be
Mhm.
open to anything and everything.
Love it. Love it. No fear. Awesome. I love it. Those are definitely great words of wisdom, words of love. And I appreciate you sharing that with my audience. And I'm going to put you back in the green room and say goodbye to them, but please hang out for a second so we can talk.
Hi guys,
And
thank
we'll
you.
talk about having you back. Thanks for being here. Bye. Oh, God, guys. Whew. Hold on. I got to take a deep breath. And I gotta figure out a way to do that video I'm talking about. 8 seconds. I can make you feel better in 8 seconds, right? 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. You could feel it. You could just feel it. I can. I don't know if you guys have tried it. I think some of you guys have. With the wizard on his show, he does practices on the angel channel. He does a lot of breathing exercises. I'm always feeling really great, just to bring that energy in and out and keep it flowing through me, and keep it flowing through you. Grace Grella, thank you for being here. Hat Powser, thank you for being here. I love that you guys keep coming back and supporting me and sharing your energy and being here with me on Thursday nights, sharing your moment, your live stream of consciousness with my live stream of consciousness. Let me see what I got going on next week. Do I have somebody on the calendar? I don't. I have been slacking, but I have a huge list of amazing people that I met at the the Empowered Path Expo, and also a huge list of people from the Sacred Spiral Network. So I'm excited about who it might be. It's going to be good. So come back and join me next week. I'm gonna play one of my older intros as my outro, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.